All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Conversation with the Comedian. We're doing all these to bring exposure to all our comedian buddies out there who work hard at their craft. A lot of people don't know them, so we're going to shed some light on them so you guys put some butts in some seats, at these next events. That would sure mean a lot to everybody. I can guarantee it being a lot to me. Just, being recognized for what it is that we do. And so, without further ado, today's guest, guys, he's been on here. He's been on Comedy Vet shows for a while now. He's been on my other websites. I'm going to have him on King's Court here coming up. But today, well, we're just going to introduce himself. Without further ado, he needs no introduction in the civilized military world. Stand at attention. Pop your hand up for a salute. Mr. Pete Barlow is in the house.
Richie, I have missed you, you goofy redneck. How you doing?
Brother, hey, man. Look, I miss you too, man. We're going to get you in on some of these casinos we're working on getting into, too, up around here. Man, glad to have you here. Welcome to Conversation with the Comedian. I almost said Conversation with the Pimp because that's what we used to be, but Conversation with the Comedian. Pete Barlow, you're the man, the myth, the legend. You know how this, I don't know if you know how this works or not, but I'm going to ask you serious questions, then we're going to have a six-pack together.
Send it.
My God. And for those of you out there, get your mind out together. We're not drinking. We're professional on here. A six-pack of questions. And there's goofy-ass questions. There's no rhyme or reason to them. That's why we ask them. All right, guys, let's start off here. Pete, tell everybody your whole full name.
I am Pete Barlow, although you said full, so Peter Barlow,
Okay. Yeah,
put that all back in.
Yeah. What are you doing in the service? What's your rank and all that?
I'm a sergeant first class, although as of last week, I am an acting first sergeant on Fort Hood, where dreams come true.
Yeah, that's kind of not what we heard, but yeah.
What does Fort Hood have a bad reputation? I hadn't heard that.
Well, not recently, but there's been some things.
Well, I'm going to Google that right afterwards.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about you. Give us a little background on you.
I have been serving in the Army for 15 years. What's up, just me? Let's see. I've been stationed in 3 continents. I've served everything from team leader, squad leader, drill sergeant, platoon sergeant, executive assistant, and now first sergeant. For how long? Let's find out together.
Damn, that's quite a resume.
Yeah, especially considering that, like most people in the military, I said I would do 4 years and then GTFO. And this quarter life crisis became a midlife crisis like that. It just overnight.
Right.
I'm still in.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate everything you do. Us older veterans, we love guys like you that are in there making a difference. Recruiting numbers are coming up, so maybe you can have some more people to mess with, some more jokes to write about, some the silly privates that you get in there. Guys, if you don't know, Pete Barlow and I met. It's been quite some time now through BV Nation out there. The guys out there in Oregon, our friends out there, good people, online mostly. And then he came to Missouri. And a quick story about that. I told him, I said, now listen, when you cross the Missouri border, your tires are not flat. Don't stop, okay? Because there's no need. It's just the roads, okay? And apparently he figured it out when he came across the Missouri border. He figured out what I was telling him. He thought I was kidding him. You figured it out real quick. I wasn't kidding him. Okay.
I'll say this about Missouri roads. Since I drove to both shows from Georgia, I I don't know if you've heard this, but Missouri's very flat and not very scenic. So
No.
I'm at least grateful for the lousy roads because otherwise I would have felt like I was in park the whole
Oh,
time.
road hypnosis. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a,
Oh, man.
yeah. So no, he came
So
out.
thank you for the lousy roads. It kept me
Oh,
awake.
oh, not a problem. Not a problem. I hope you don't have to have an alignment anytime soon. You're coming up here, but
No, but if well, next time I do a show with comedy vets, I am flying. So
that's you done solved that equation right now.
I'm even closer to you, and I'm like, nah, I'll fly.
Yeah, no, yeah, no. We had David Scott, our good buddy, on there earlier, and he talking about especially the road from I-35 from Kansas City to Cameron. He said, "How's that interstate so bad?" He just even he and he's been here all his life. He's like, "Wow."
Well, if I drove using 35 this time, I would have to drive through Oklahoma, and it's like I like my life too much. No, it's cool. Let's not put. I've driven through the entirety of Missouri. Let's not put the entirety of Oklahoma.
Yeah, and Kansas and a little bit of Nebraska right there.
Oh,
Yeah, white line fever. That's what Dean Cerny said. White line fever. That's cool. Thank you guys. By the way, thanks Dean for joining us. You're a good fan, good patriot. Jeremy Daniels in the house. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Conversation with comedian. We got Pete Barlow in the house. Pete, you have a huge endeavor, awesome endeavor you got going on in your life, a constant. If I may use that word, I just learned that word yesterday, so I want to use it. A constant thing you do in your life. Tell us about your artiste ability.
I am the author and illustrator of G.I. Low, a webcomic I started in basic training because I said, hey, I'm going to be the first military web cartoonist. And it turns out there's a few of us.
Yeah, there is. Well, it's excellent read. It's goofy, and I read it once in a while. Sometimes I'm like, a new military. That must be a new military thing. And sometimes I say, yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Changes in the army are change. Sorry, the only constants in the army are change and cardio. So yeah, the army
Same
goes
with
rolling along, and we roll along with it, or we get rolled over.
well, yeah. A lot of people have been rolled over and rolled out. So that's cool.
Uh,
That's cool.
Um,
How long you been doing comedy? Tell the people about
I,
you.
so I've really been doing stand-up comedy for 3 years, and I know a friend of BB Nation is partially to credit for that. Dakota Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Shout out
Formerly
if he's
comedy
listening.
vets. He's a comedy vets guy.
But when I did this charity event with BB Nation a few years ago in Beaver Creek, he was the
Great place.
MC. Oh, great place. Need to get back there. But he was the MC. And since we were there setting up all the stuff, I had mentioned I'd done stand up a little bit before I joined the army, a little
Mhm.
bit after I joined the army, and he's like, "Well, why don't you pick it back up again?" And I'm like, because it's terrifying. I liken stand-up comedy to your heart trying to crack open your rib cage to escape. Um, Fun fact, still there. But anyway, he was kind of putting things into perspective, and like I
Mhm.
got thinking, I've briefed generals in a war zone.
Mhm.
I feel like talking about masturbation to strangers in bars is not that intimidating.
No, for veterans and military guys, no. That's
Oh yeah.
that's our typical conversation. You know.
Yeah, so it was like, let me just bring that military conversation to the masses. And the thing is, I'd gotten to a point with GI Low where, like, it helped me filter out what would be funny for civilians versus what's funny for service members.
Right.
So I had been in long enough that I could like kind of translate that. I mean, there's a lot of factors that went into becoming a stand-up comedian, but as soon as I did it, I'm like, you found your niche. This is one of your niches. Like you've been looking for this, you found it.
Well, you're getting quite good at it. You've listen. You can perform anytime. I'd either open for you or close for you. It don't make a difference. That's how much I enjoy your comedy.
Right
Uh,
back at you.
you came up here and you drove all up from Georgia. First show you did with us was in Plattsburgh, Missouri, on a freaking double wide car trailer. Okay, beautiful equipment. Now it was awesome equipment. Okay, and a good little show. And this guy shows up in Missouri with a Kansas Jayhawk shirt on. Okay, and now everybody loved him because he was a comedian, and they knew it was part of the comedian set. But they uh they housed him a little bit there.
That's not the whole story there, Richie. So,
That's being
my
polite.
my parents, well, first off, my parents met in Lawrence, and so I stopped off there before the show, and I saw a Hawaiian shirt, and it was like, oh, how cool is this? Plus, I mean, it was like 30 minutes away, so there's gonna be, some Kansas love in Missouri. I was wrong. I get to the town, and instantly everyone is giving me the stink eye, and I'm just like, oh, can they tell I'm not local? And before the show, some people started calling it out. I'm like, oh, well, it's one or two people. I don't mind. But then everybody's kind of calling it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, they
So
were.
I went back to my car and swapped it out with a different shirt because I'm like, listen, I need to make it home safe.
Yeah, and it was Redneckville. Okay, it was. I
Yeah.
mean, these guys are staunch. F Kansas Jayhawks. Okay, that's what this town was like that. Even though it was military, a good veteran crew there. Uh, didn't you have on a Michael Myers?
I had a mic. It was October, so I wore a Halloween Hawaiian shirt. Yeah. I Well, the nice thing is, the city I performed in the most is Athens, Georgia. So I mean,
Mm,
I've
okay.
learned don't mess with college football teams. Like it's you don't even troll with that. It's just flat
Hmm.
out like, no, if you don't want to get stabbed,
Right.
read the room.
Yeah.
So it was a good lesson.
Oh, it's funny. You did well. You took it well, and they loved you there. They're wanting to have us
That's not
back in
happening.
again. Yeah, they're wanting to have us back in again, and so they mentioned you. Thought you was a great dude. They loved They did. They loved David. They loved me. Uh, we all had a good time. Uh, James, that's the first time our MC's ever worked with you. He's been our MC off and on for 10, 12 years, and he really enjoyed your comedy. Okay, and so he said next time he performs with you, he's going to write you a special intro. Okay, now it's going to be
Let me
goofy ass
worry.
intro. Yeah, well, you but might not. It's gonna be flattering, but it's gonna be on the comedy side of things. And he actually is a real good comedian, but he comes up with all that paperwork like he's just shoveled and all that, and he's reading off, dropping his pencil. It's funny because you're like, man, you're gonna get to the regular comedians, then he'll bust into a set about you know how his uncle was hung and his wife mowed the yard and his woman come and see, what are you making your wife mow your yard for? You should be hung. He goes, I am. There's a weed eater in the
Yeah.
garage. So he just cuts into that. It's just funny. But he's a good dude, and he loved you. You were a big hit. Uh, we're can't wait for you to come back. Love for you to come back. Work with be on stage with me and Richard while we're on there. We just like the crowd is they just go bat nuts crazy because Richard don't do any clean. There's nothing clean about Richard Montano. You gotta love him. He's an adult guy. He'll tell you flat out, look, yeah, I'm not coming in no clean because I'll get banned. Okay, but he's a good dude, and you're a heck of a guy. Everybody appreciated you when you joined Comedy Vets. You joined us what, last year or year prior?
Yeah. So I got my initiation was last year,
Okay.
and right afterwards I got the welcome to the club, and I'm like, I made it.
Yeah. It's it now. You can
It's
retire.
it's
Get that.
comedy and vets. It's
Yeah.
like that's two things I love.
Yeah, and we do it more than just as you see, we do more than just VFWs and American Legions. We go all over. We performed outside of Cameron, Missouri. Roy Anthony, myself, Damon Tater Spray, I think one more guy. We performed in the middle of a field with alpacas running around. They were parading alpacas out there. Roy, Roy's a color fella. He's out there in the middle of nowhere. He thinks he hears banjos going on. Then they run up alpaca out. He's freaking out. He got greeted some white guy with no teeth. Going, hey, y'all, I want you to go and park over here. I want him to park over here by the tree. Roy's like, I ain't parking nowhere. I see Richie. Where's Richie at? So we'll perform anywhere.
Comedy anywhere. I did an open mic in a Walmart, sorry, not Walmart, Waffle House parking lot in Atlanta at midnight.
Wow. Well, tell us
And it's
something
just
about
like
that.
comedy everywhere.
Yeah. Tell us how that went down.
Oh, it was amazing. So if you've ever been to Atlanta, I mean, there's an open mic every night. And so I'd heard that there was a Waffle House mic. And I'm like, oh, so the Waffle House is like letting us do the open mic there. That's cool. I got there at midnight, and realized quickly the Waffle House had no idea we were there. We just set up in the middle of the parking lot. It was, by the way, very nice Waffle House. Like, as
Yeah,
in terms of Georgia Waffle Houses, it's like this is a really good. They have fans. How cool is that?
yeah. Have a Facebook page
Literally.
and all. Yeah.
And so we just stood in the middle of this parking lot doing our sets, as loudly as possible. And then like the staff came out and they're like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "We're doing comedy. Do you want to join?" And they were like, "Give me 1 second." Wrap up their table. They come out. They do their set, and it was awesome.
Nice, nice. Sign some of them to a contract if they're entertaining. Yeah, yeah. So, and I asked this question to all the comedians I have on. It's kind of a weird question, but I'm asking it to you because you're a very intelligent man.
Thank you.
You can decipher my redneck lingo. Lingo, that's a good word, lingo. Yeah. Tell us about the excitement you get for making everybody else excited.
It's a roller coaster. If you've ever been on a roller coaster, I just liken it to like when you're waiting to hear your name, you're just building up that hill, and then as soon as they call your name, drop, and the rest of it is just that ride.
Mm.
I think I speak for most comedians when I say that heckling is never as bad as silence. Silence will cut you to the core. But oh man, if you have a show that goes great, I mean, there's nothing to compare it to, except, again, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah,
You're enjoying it. Everyone's having fun. It's just constant motion. It's beautiful.
it is. It is. It's addictive too. It really is addictive.
Oh yeah.
Um, I liken it to MMA. You know, if you can fight in MMA with your shirt off in some drawers, right, with the door when the door shuts behind you, you have a decision to make: either fight or get your ass whipped, one of the two. And the adrenaline I feel the same way on stage. So now, man, I'm up here. Okay, they're either gonna whip my ass or I'm gonna make them laugh. That's the way I do it. It's just addictive, man. It really is addictive. It's awesome to make somebody laugh, save somebody's life. Through comedy is great. Brother, you want to have a six pack with me? Let's have a six pack. You
And
ready
it.
for a six pack? All right. Six pack of questions here. The same questions I've asked the other comedians, but we got a little battle going on here. Question number one. Question number one. For Christmas dinner, are you a ham or a turkey fan?
I'm gonna go with turkey because I'm a lifelong insomniac, and just a little bit of tryptophan gets me to bed.
Well, we're kind of screwed here in Kansas City because now, the Chiefs like to play on Christmas, so I can't be having no trip to man. I got to be able to watch my boys play. Uh, so, question number two. This is where we have a big debate right here. Are you a bologna or a spam guy? And lunch loaf counts as spam.
I think I'm a late in life convert to spam.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
around the same time that I did the show with you, Augusta was hit with a hurricane, so I was surviving off
That's right.
non-perishable food. And yeah, I bought spam for the first time, and I'm like, this is really good. Okay,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
are we making fun of this forever? Green eggs and spam.
yeah, yeah. Well, come to find out, spam saved your life. Yeah, so be
Absolutely.
grateful.
And
Yeah, great.
contributed to my high blood pressure.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
salty, but so is
yeah,
bologna.
yeah. Yeah, well, that's true. And how thick you cook the bologna and fry you can't go wrong either way on bologna or spam. But the last two couple people picked bologna, so you're a spam guy. Good, good, good. Okay, flip flops, sandals, or Crocs.
I'll be honest, I don't know the difference between flip-flops and sandals.
Well, sandals like Jesus shoes. They wrap around. And you buckle them, or they come a little bit up the ankle with straps of some sort. Flip flops are just open the back, the heels open, and sound like you
Uh,
cut your Achilles tendon when you walk.
I feel like with flip-flops, it reminds me too much of like public showers in the army. So I'm gonna say sandals. Never been a
Okay.
Crocs person.
Oh, really? A couple people on there have never not Croc people. David Scott didn't like Crocs at all. He said his pediatrician or not, yes, pediatrician don't wear them. Not pediatrician, the foot doctor said don't.
Podiatrist.
Podiatrist, my bad. Brain damage. Podiatrist said don't wear them. They're not good for you. So cool.
Jeremy
All right.
Daniels is somehow insistent on pizza as a third option. I'm not sure if that's
I
for
guess so.
the
Yeah, yeah. He likes people. He likes spam too. There you go.
spam.
Yeah. Hey, look. Ain't nothing wrong with that. All right. Work boots or cowboy boots, and both equally shined up, both equally cool.
Uh, let's see. I've worn cowboy boots only a couple of times. My
Mhm.
dad had a pair, and I liked that they made me taller, but they were also a lot more uncomfortable. So I'm going to say the work boots.
Can't fault your reasoning.
I'm getting old, so I like comfortable footwear.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Okay. Muscle car or modern car?
Again, this is going to. I'm getting old. I like practical. Give me a modern car.
Mm, okay. Yeah. I missed that. And I thought, man, I thought you for sure would pick one of them old muscle cars, one of the old meathead cars.
I'm not a PFC getting my first paycheck at the moment. I'm
I
like,
see.
give
Yeah.
me something that's nice and
So
reliable.
there's no Ford Probe in your future. Okay.
Never say never.
The Ford Pros catch a fire. Like I was on base and I was at Camp Lejeune, and this private bought one. He was so happy with the Ford Probe, and we said, "Man, you might want to check out the reviews on that thing." He goes, we didn't have internet like we do now, right? He said, "Oh no, I asked around, they're good." Okay. 3 days later, as soon as we stepped out of formation, we heard a boom, and his car just started burning. He was sitting there. He was like, he ain't even made a full payment yet on his car. It was already burning up, and
Guess
he had the
no
wrong
insurance either.
no, and he had the wrong insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh boy. So now he had to go. He drove an old S10 pickup truck the rest of the time because he had to had to pay off that car, and he realized real quick that just because you get it don't mean you got it. Right. Okay. One more here. I'm gonna give you two names of great comedians. You tell me which one you think you like better, Richard Pryor or George Carlin.
Let's see.
That's a
No, this is a Sophie's choice here.
yeah.
I would say Richard Pryor, just because I love autobiographical comedy. I feel like Carlin was very philosophical, and but like you didn't really learn much about him as a person. So I'm gonna go with Richard Pryor again. I love someone who can spill their guts on stage.
Yeah, and tell the truth about it, and his mud bone, that stuff was funny. When he talked about freebasing on cocaine, he caught a fire. That crap was funny as hell.
Yeah,
It just
own the
now,
darkest parts of your life.
right. And listen, George was a magnificent wordsmith. Okay, so if you would have said either one of them, that'd have been great. And today I'm gonna give you a bonus question. You're the first comedian I got a bonus question to. Okay, when you wear boots or some any kind shoes, are you a colored socks or a white socks person?
Colored socks because my sister continuously gave me shit about wearing white socks.
Okay, there's where you and I differ quite a bit because white socks they're more medicated. So if you got a problem with your feet, you're less likely to get an infection of wearing white socks. So I like white socks. However, white socks get dingy. They're like, oh man, look like you're homeless, dude. Why don't you wash them damn things? I did.
Yeah, I still sometimes wear white socks, but I've mostly bought black socks. The Army's broken me of that habit.
Yeah, green or black. Yeah. At least you didn't say green, olive drab green. I mean,
no, that reminds me too much of work. So that's my free time.
Listen, I got to be honest. I got to confess something. When I got out for the first 3 years, when I was out of the Marine Corps, I wore green OD socks. If I go somewhere lounging, I had my white socks, of course. And I had them most 70s, the ones with the stripes at the top of them to come halfway up. I rocked those things, but I had the green all drab socks for a while until they wore out. So
probably bother you a lot when I inevitably get out of the Army about how to properly become a civilian again.
Yeah, just give it up. Just be you, because you're going to have to congeal two worlds. And see, you've been in a lot longer than me. I only had 7 years of service. You got forever, so you're going to have to mold those together. I liken you like a convict who's did all his time. Right? He went in. There was horse and buggy, and now you come out and there's fast cars and buildings everywhere. Like on what was that movie? Shawshank Redemption. When the old guy went in, come out, he was confused. That's what I think it's going to be for you for a little bit.
I hope I'm more Morgan Freeman than the other guy.
Oh yes, Morgan Freeman. Yes, absolutely. Listen, everything Morgan Freeman touched turns to gold anyway. So.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Oh man, now that I'm possibly closer to the end than the beginning, it's just sort of like, all right, do I see myself, like at the grocery store, like permission to use the bathroom, and they're like,
what was the name of that? Oh, the Foodway. You're working at the Foodway. Yeah,
I'm like, no, I'll go to Mexico and build boats. That sounds cooler.
Yeah, go down there. Now I don't want to swim through the 5 football fields of crap. I believe I'll pass on that. I'll escape some other way, but
Oh,
That
I
was
will
cool.
say this. When I did the interview to be a first sergeant, I thought about that movie a lot because throughout the movie, Morgan Freeman's at the parole board and he's given exactly the answers that they
Yeah,
want to hear, and he keeps getting denied. And then
yeah,
in the end, he's totally honest, and they're like, approved.
yeah,
Because I was like, kind of like going into that interview, like expecting like, I don't give a damn.
yeah,
And then sure enough, I got it. I'm like, okay. More of the story is don't give the bullshit answers. Just like, all right,
mm,
what are your weaknesses in NCO? I'm like, how long do you have? I can lay it all out. I have a webcomic where all of my weaknesses in NCO are just put in full display to thousands of people.
yeah, yeah. You should said, "Where you been?" You asking me, you don't know about me? You ain't never heard of
Oh,
me?
no, you would be shocked. Well, probably not shocked, but I would say the ratio is 90-10. Of 90% of the time, no one has heard of my comic, but they're like, cool, I'm happy you have a side project. And then 10% of the time, people are like, oh, you're the GILO guy. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Can more people be like you? That'd be cool.
Matter of fact, I had a situation earlier today in a little town called Chillicothe. Uh, Ladies in there and thought, "You get in trouble at home, don't you?" I said, "No, ma'am, I'm a professional comedian." Really? What do you mean, really? You don't know who the hell I am? So I gave her a card. She goes, "Oh, you're for real?" Like, "Oh, you must be new. You must have just been born a week ago or something." Yeah, yeah. I want to show everybody some pictures of Pete on stage. Uh, this is when he came up to visit in Missouri. This first picture here, when I said we was on a trailer, we wasn't lying to you. You can see the double axles right there at the bottom. I don't know what they hauled on this thing, but listen, the equipment was awesome. It was a great show. A little light, a little too bright though. Certain times you couldn't
Well,
look one way.
yeah, you don't need any help making me look paler, but the lighting did the trick.
No, yeah, it looked like he's interviewing for the old movie Powder back, long, long ancient years ago.
Ugh.
Yeah, wow. Here's another one where you at the Jamesport, my hometown there. You was in there. Now the light's not so bright here, but it's still a little bit bright. But you can see you actually have some complexion in this one.
My head is very shiny.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what happened. And then overall, this is one of the pictures when if I make a flyer or poster of you, this is the one I use there because I just love that shirt, man.
Oh
Bananas.
yeah. I need to
Bananas is a
work that back
word.
into my set.
Bananas is a word. You just put bananas, and people their minds go like, "Is he talking about a fruit? Is he a little off? What's going on here?" And so that's
Well, I was getting ready to do an open mic at Laughing Skull, which is the biggest comedy club in Atlanta, and I was driving with some friends, and I remember I was rehearsing my set, and I opened with "This shirt is bananas, BANANANS." Well, I thought that joke was appealing, but it seems to have split the audience, and the two people in my car are like, that's bad. Don't open with that. You have to open with your strongest joke. And I'm like, guys, that is my strongest joke.
yeah, I'm there.
And they're like, no, it's gonna bomb. And I did it in the set and it killed. I'm like, guys, it's
Hmm.
not that the joke is funny, it's all the delivery. And I
That's
think
kind
that's
of a
so
myth.
true of most of my jokes.
That's kind of a myth. They say hit your best joke first. I don't. I save my good stuff for the end because I hit them with a good joke at first, kind of put the fillers in the center and hit them at the good, good joke at the end. Because my theory is I want them to remember me when they go home. Okay, I want to remember the last joke they hear is when they're going to remember the most a lot of times, right? So if I hit them with good stuff, then they're like, hey, you're that guy that's got them crazy ass grandkids, or you're the dude who does that new cartoon impressions. I man, yeah, I want them to remember, those things. So Jeff Onyx and I had a big debate about it. And I'm going to ask you the same question while we got you on here. By the way, guys, are here with Pete Barlow, author, owner, proprietor of GILO magazine. He's still in the military. He's got a couple years left on his contract. So, yeah, he's an outstanding comedian, performed with us here in Comedy Vets for a couple different shows now. Great guy. Here's the question for you. Me and Jeff Onyx had an honest debate about it. What is the best comedy as far as putting people in seats, making money, whatever? Is it, in your opinion, is it the clean comedy or the adult, what we call the
Uh,
adult comedy?
if we're talking about putting people in seats, probably clean. I mean, as soon as I got into comedy, every like seasoned veteran that I'd met said have a couple of clean sets because
Mm-hmm,
your corporate gigs, church shows, children's shows, that kind of thing. If you
mm-hmm,
want to make money off this, you got to do clean. I prefer dirty comedy. but you know.
Mhm. Well, let me tell you a little, let me tell you what we come up. Now, this is unofficial. We didn't have nobody verify this, but him and I did a survey. You make you do more shows clean. You'll work more. Okay, so you got that money. But to make more money at one time, the adult comedy. Okay, it seems like you sell more merch and you make more money at that one show, but you do a lot of clean. So the money kind of averages out because you work a lot, like I said, churches, high schools, uh, wherever clubs. And then you got your private sector and the bars. And so my personal opinion was it was a 50-50 tie, believe it or not. And I
Okay.
was of the opinion it was the other way around. It was not. And me and Jeff both did that survey. So that's cool. It come out 50-50. But there's a caveat to it. Like I said, you work more on the clean. You make more at one time during the adult person show. Um, and I think to showcase our talents, you got to be able to do both. You shouldn't hamstring yourself. We got a couple comic friends that have hamstring themselves. Um, and so that's my theory on it. You shouldn't be one dimensional. Okay, guys. Again, we're here with Pete Barlow. Well, where are you at right now, Pete? Where you're? I know you said Fort Hood, but what's next for you?
Oh, that's $1 million question. So I know I'm at Fort Hood for probably a couple of years.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if this is going to be my last duty station or my second to last.
Hmm.
Um, like a lot. I will say this: year 15 in my Army career has been the most challenging, which was not expected.
Hmm.
Um, I always judged people that started to get senioritis their junior year of their Army career, to use like that metaphor. But now that I'm in the end of my junior year, I'm just sort of like, "Ah, this shit again. Okay, yeah,
Same
cool."
old,
And
same old, same old. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I'm breaking any new ground by saying that Fort Hood is the most Army duty station I've ever been at.
Mm.
Is it the best or the worst? No, it's the most. It's
So
just
yeah, I like that.
it's your entire existence except
Yeah.
for on 4-day weekends. Thank you for that. Um, but yeah, it's kind of all consuming, and I'm like, I'm getting old. Could we just cool it down with the hua a little bit?
Yeah, 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 yeah. The weather out there, I'm sure down in Texas is year round. Is probably pretty good.
Ah, I think you're the first person in history to say that. I mean, I will say it's rainy right now, which is kind of unusual.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah,
Um, and it's been well. I mean, first off, I hope everyone listening, if they're in Central Texas, they're doing okay. We've had
yeah. Me
some
too.
flash
Me
flooding.
too.
Um,
They
but
had a report up here on the Kansas City News. They got 5 inches of rain in less than an hour. Okay.
well, it doesn't rain often in Texas, but when it rains, you notice it.
Mhm, mhm,
Um,
mhm,
so I
mhm.
hope
Yeah.
everyone's
No, our
okay.
hearts and prayers go out to them. Um, when I was at Camp Lejeune, at there, North Carolina, I came from Missouri, so snow wasn't an issue to me. Okay, and they got a quarter inch of snow out there at Camp Lejeune. You thought these people lost their minds. They were out buying gloves, hats, mittens, cars off in the ditch, because they all run street slicks out there. All them street slick tires were just repels the rain. People were sideways. It was a mess here. I was, just driving like normal. Wouldn't bother me none. Can you pull us out? I was getting $10 a head, man. I made good cash that day before I even got to the damn base, fat in my pocket because people lost their mind over a quarter inch of snow, right? I'm like, man, they said, where you from? I said, Missouri. I said, hey, it'll snow 5-10 inches. Ain't no big deal. 5-10 inches of snow. How do you walk? Same as I do now. Yeah,
On top of it.
yeah, top of it. Yeah, but Camp Lejeune had beautiful weather most year round. I remember a lot of Februaries, you know, taking my shirt off because we were hot, out there. So I'm just wondering if Texas was kind of the same way. I know probably Georgia was hotter for you guys down there.
Well, I got here and everyone is warning me about summers,
Hmm.
Central Texas summers being the worst. And I would tell people, like, I just came from Georgia. It gets pretty
Yeah.
hot there too. And it's always like, no, 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 no. You don't know hot until you've been to Central Texas in
Mm.
summer. I'm like, I get it. Everything's got to be bigger here.
Right,
Goodness
right,
gracious, just
right,
calm down a bit.
right. I shut a guy up one time. He was talking about that. I said, "You ever been to Central Missouri when it's hot? It's a heat like any other. because the humidity is so bad in Missouri. Okay, you all of a sudden have curly hair. You walk around an afro, didn't know you had curly hair because it's the humidity, right? And they're like, oh yeah, I guess you got two big rivers going. Yeah, two of the biggest rivers in the United States, cut up Missouri. So yeah, I mean, you go worse. It's real hot here. Pete, man, it's been a great conversation with you, brother.
Right back at you.
What do you got coming up as far as comedy wise? You got anything lined up for anybody?
Well, I highly recommend following me at comedian Pete Barlow on Instagram because I always keep that updated on shows. I've got a show coming up in Belton, Texas, which is not far from Killeen if you live in the Killeen area.
Okay.
But definitely not Killeen comedy or clean comedy. Waka
I like
Waka.
that. I like
But
that.
it's on August 28th. It is at the Gin at Nolan Creek. So definitely check that out. Let's see. That's the only known show I've got, but just follow me. Follow comedian Pete Barlow. Follow GI Low on Facebook and Instagram. I'm trying to use the GI Low to help promote the comedy a little bit. I don't know if
Absolutely.
that's sneaky, but it's like, hey,
No, that's smart.
if you want to see the GI Low guy perform comedy, hey, there's an option.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, guys, if you want to know more about him, you follow him on Comedy Vets too. He posts his shows on Comedy Vets as well. His script, I mean, his GLO, and also if he's ever anything with Comedy Vets, you're going to know about it because he's going to be on one of my damn flyers with his banana shirt on there, smiling the crowd. We're working on getting him on again, but again, he got to drive from Texas or fly, whatever he's going to fly to Missouri. So it's going to have to be a show where we'll give him enough time to make the arrangements to do. But we're looking forward to having him up here again. Pete, man, I tell you what, brother, you did well. You did well. Conversation with comedian. First time you've been on that, man. I appreciate it a lot. Hope you the 6-pack didn't catch you in a wrong mood there. Hope
I don't think I'll have a hangover from that 6-pack. We're good.
No, it's guaranteed no hangover in this 6-pack. Anyway, brother, we appreciate you coming on. Give us a little bit more about the GILO real quick before we get out of here. What's next for GILO? What's the new venture?
Well, the Fort Hood has been fantastic for GILO. Lots of material. I have a few wacky storylines. Let's see if I decide to go with them. Let's see. I know the E4 Mafia is going to be making a reoccurring storyline. We might have one of the 50 states secede and Lowe gets put on border patrol. And wacky shenanigans of the army.
Border patrol. That's rich. That's funny.
If you can guess the state, it's set spoilers. It's not Texas. I went with something wackier.
Texas. Okay. No, not Texas. Probably
There's
not
only
Arizona.
49 left.
Yeah, probably not Arizona. Maybe Alaska. That'd be a good border one. Yeah, if you're stationed in Alaska, if you're in Alaska, you might be experiencing cold. Yeah.
After all of the Army summers I will take in Alaska winter, if HRC is listening.
Yeah. You turn around. Hey. Yeah. Pete, brother, thank you very much for coming on here. You guys look for him on Comedy Vets on YouTube, Comedy Vets on Facebook. BV Nation out there, and beautiful guys out there in Oregon, ladies too, that help us out a lot and carry our show. Thank you guys like that. Thank you everybody. Thank Jeff Onyx for allowing us to be on here on Comedy Vets. Pete Barlow, the man, the myth, the legend. He's been a comedic now for 3 years. He's rising up the ranks. You see, he's busy all the time. Open mics. Hell, this man does open mics at a Waffle House in a parking lot at midnight
in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, my old football coach told me, you have your ass in bed. Nothing good happens after midnight, and you're rednecks. You need to be in bed like at 11:50. Okay, so nothing good happens after midnight except Pete Barlow at a Waffle House parking lot. There you go. Are you real quick? Have you got any new material you're working
on? Not at the moment because I just took over this first sergeant position, so that's kind of my life at the moment.
I see. I'm working on one about knowing how you know when you need a hearing aid when you start getting older. I said, because when I listen to Kid Rock, this is what I hear. I hear ball with the ball. You know that song, Ball with the Ball? Well, I'm hearing ball to the bong, orangutan titty, jump up in the air and land on my kitty.
I thought those were the lyrics, I'll be honest.
So a lot of people thought those were lyrics, but those are
So it
not.
might not be your hearing.
Yeah. Well, then, of course, I paint the picture that I'm in a car driving with my wife and my grandson, the one that's going to jail, right? He's like, and my wife stops. I'm pretty sure those are not the words. So, well, how do you really know? So she's over Googling, but anyway, the joke goes over that. That's part, ball with the thong, bong with the thong, orangutan titty, jump up in the air and land on my kitty. Yeah. Guys, take care of yourselves and each other. As Bob Barker would say, have your pet spayed or neutered. We got too many dadgum cats because no leash law for a cat. You got to put a dog on a leash. That's kind of like a pet discrimination, isn't it? You got to hold a dog, but you can't hold a cat.
Yeah. Selective outrage. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. Take care of yourselves, guys. Thank you very much. Pete, you're the man. Thank you, brother, for coming on. You have a good time. You guys take care of yourselves. Hope you guys have a good 4th of July holiday. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Richard Montano will be joining me in conversation with the comedian. Richard Montano, you don't want to miss that because him and I are going to get into the dirty set part of the jokes. And I guarantee you this man will bring you to your knees. Okay, he's funny. And he's got a story about when he had surgery about his dingus hanging out. And he always asks a woman in the crowd, ma'am, how do you feel when your dingus is hanging out? I don't like mine hanging out. It's cold. So he's something else, guys. Take care of yourselves and each other. I'm Richie, Redneck Pimp, bad man of comedy. Until we see each other again, this is Conversation with Comedian. Have a good day. Let's take care.